Hey, how's it going, everybody? Shaggy from the Order of Mithril here. Today, I want to talk about Halo Infinite. Primarily, the hype and the concerns around this release. So, I'm an old school Halo fan. I played every title that has come out except for the arcade game Fireteam Raven. I haven't even seen it in an arcade, but then again, I haven't really been in an arcade in quite some time. But needless, I've been a thorough Halo fan since its inception. I've read the books, some of the comics, I've watched the movies, and everything else that's come out about this game. I've even read some fan fiction, which, to be honest, wasn't all that great. But anyway, I love how Halo came on to the scene. For me, I was a PlayStation fan because I had games on there like, say, Final Fantasy, Legend of Dragoon. I was an old school JRPG player. But I got turned on to first-person shooters whenever Halo came out, and I've been playing it ever since. I loved the way that the game played. I loved the way that it looked. I loved how I could play with my family and friends on it. I still remember back when I was a teenager, us hooking up multiple Xboxes just to play bigger matches. I loved the game since its beginning, since I was introduced to it. I love more than anything else is its story. I feel like it has a very compelling story throughout all its iterations that's, pretty consecutive between the books, the movies, and the video games. With all that being said, I think it's pretty obvious that I'm pretty excited about seeing Halo come back. I think that they left off with a pretty big cliffhanger with what happened to Cortana and what's going to happen to Master Chief and the rest of humanity. What about the other alien races out there like the Sangheili? So I'm really excited to see where this story is going to go. And especially after playing Halo Wars 2, seeing that bit of a cliffhanger of an ending as well, I want to know what's going to happen in this story. So yes, I'm intrigued, and I'm excited by the way that they're going back to a more traditional art style. I mean, graphics aside, it looks like they're trying to pull back the old look of Halo as opposed to what they were doing with the last two full Halo games. So I'm really excited about the new art direction that they're taking with it. The audio sounds good so far from what I've seen from the demo that was played at the Xbox Game Showcase, but that's about as far as I'm going to go with the hype for right now. So let's go ahead and get into the concerns at this point. A lot of people are bashing Halo Infinite for the way that it looks. They're saying that the graphics are more than just a step back from what we saw in the last game, Halo 5. And part of me is just wanting to blow that off because, of course, the game is still in production. So it's not finished. So what we see right now is probably not going to be the product that we're going to get. Just a thought. But I do understand where a lot of people are coming from. Some people like to point out the clipping that was going on in the background, the popping in and out, if you will, of certain assets. And I get that. You don't want to ever see that in a public demo for its first run to the public. You just don't want to see that. You want to see that the company has put in a lot of work and effort to make it look good and clean and polished, like it's supposed to be a game that's coming out in less than 6 months. A lot of the concern that is going on behind the scenes, which may factor into this, is the fact that there is supposedly some posts going around the internet saying that 343 is having trouble keeping to schedule, that there's a lot of chaos in the office space. Like, they're using old ways of building the game. They don't know how to communicate with each other. The fact that they're hiring out a lot of positions, and so they may have a worker come on for a month or two and then let them go for a cheaper person to come in and do it. So, I mean, that's a big deal. I'm not even going to go into all the things that were said, but apparently there are employees that have left 343 Industries just this year or even late last year saying that they can't take it anymore. The lack of communication, the lack of focus, the lack of effort is bringing the whole company down. And it was just recently stated that a new company was brought in to help them finish the game, to meet their deadline, because Halo Infinite is supposed to be a launch title for the Xbox Series X. Something else that is standing out kind of in a glaring fashion to me is the fact that there has been no announcement on public beta testing for the multiplayer. And that's a big deal to me. While Halo drew me in with its story, it kept me coming back years and years later because I liked the multiplayer. I liked the competitive aspect of it. I liked the way everything just seemed to be balanced and work. Speaking of Halo 1, 2, and 3, of course, I'm not going to even go into ODST 4 and 5 for obvious reasons, or even Reach. But the fact that they're not talking about any kind of estimated time when they may be beta testing the multiplayer gives me a little bit of concern. Why? Because I feel like they should be letting us know when we can beta test this, even if it's a closed beta, because multiplayer is what's going to keep people coming back to this game. Yeah, you may complete the campaign 3, 4, 5, or even 6 times playing it on the different difficulty settings, playing it with friends and whatnot, but what's going to keep you coming back to this game, what's going to keep most gamers coming back to this game, is its multiplayer component. And the fact that they're not even saying, hey, well, we're going to try to have something by the end of October or November is kind of alarming, because they're going to need to balance this out. They're going to need to have input from this, especially with the way that they're talking about how this Halo is going to be something that's done for the next 10 years. We're not going to see a Halo Infinite 2, where it's going to be Halo Infinite and that's going to be it for 10 years. So the fact that they're not saying anything about one of the biggest parts of this game so far, that gives me a little bit of concern, because it feels like they may be even further behind schedule than what a lot of people are speculating on. One thing that I will come out and just openly admit is, after 3, I felt like Halo's multiplayer just took a nosedive. A lot of people are probably going to give me some grief about this, but I absolutely detested Halo Reach's multiplayer. To me, it almost felt unplayable. I did not like the armor abilities. I didn't like the way things felt as far as mechanics and gameplay went. I mean, sure, it was a step up graphically, and yes, it continued the story, but I did not feel the need to keep revisiting the game over and over again, because multiplayer to me was just lackluster. Now 4, when it came out, I felt like it did a slightly better job, but I wasn't as invested in it as I was, say, Halo 3's multiplayer. 5, a little bit better, but not by much. Again, the multiplayer just didn't keep me interested. I didn't like the way things felt. So I'm hoping that with Halo Infinite's multiplayer, we get a return back to Halo 3's multiplayer style. But I'm not going to hold my breath on that. And I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that want to correct me or argue with me, and that's fine. But I do not feel like 343 Industries has done the multiplayer for Halo right since they took over for Bungie. I don't. And there's been a couple of times where even I have made my sly and nasty comments towards certain people like Bonnie Ross that are now in charge of this whole thing. I feel like the direction that it has taken over the past few games has just been bad. I'm not going to lie. I'm probably going to play the campaign, and I'm going to probably thoroughly enjoy the campaign. But as far as constantly revisiting the title because I like the component that keeps me coming back, the multiplayer and its competitiveness, I don't know. I'm still out on a limb for that one. I'm on the fence. I haven't decided anything about it yet. And that's because they haven't shown anything about it, and there's this up in the air, no communication situation that we're in for the multiplayer currently. So to reiterate, I'm nervous because multiplayer hasn't been talked about at all. I'm a little concerned at the fact that it seems like there's a lot of conflict and a lack of direction in 343's office space. I'm a little upset at the fact that we got graphics for a game that should probably be a little bit further along, and I'm willing to let that slide for the time being considering the pandemic that's going on right now. But not so as that it's all gloom and doom. I am happy that we're getting a new narrative. I'm happy that because this is going to Xbox Game Pass day one, I can play the campaign without having to pay the full price of the game because I'm a Game Pass subscriber. I'm happy that multiplayer is going free to play. I'm happy that we're going to get 60 frames per second in the campaign and 120 frames in the multiplayer. But what I would like from you is to go ahead and join in this discussion with me. Let me know what you think. Jump down in the comment section below and let me know if you're excited, if you're not going to waste your time, and why you are or why you are not. Please, guys, I want to know what you guys think because Halo is a dear franchise to me. But thanks for stopping by. Hope you guys have a good one.